right, we're Negaim Perek Daled Mishnah Yud, 10th Mishnah, in the 4th chapter of Masechet Negaim. Says the Mishnah, we're continue talking about spreading baharot and contracting, etc. Baharit Gris, I have a baharit the size of the gris. Remember, Baharit Gris, in and of itself is not tamei. It has to have a siman. It has to have a pisayon, either a spread or shtei sarah, 2 hairs, or a michya, pair of live area of live flesh. And then it expanded the size of a gris. Nodala pisayon michya o se'ar lavan v'halach la ha'om. Okay, so now this pisayon, let's take a look. We have a little like a drawing here. So you have it's the size of a gris. It expands, and then we lose the first one. It's gone. Okay, well let's see. The order of the Mishnah is. Okay, first nodala pisayon michya o se'ar lavan. So now this one got a michya or 2 se'arot. Never one. We'll see one in a second. So now this one had a michya, and then this one goes away. The mother gris, the mother beheret is gone. So now this is definitely tamei. Why is it definitely tamei? Everyone agrees it's tamei because it's got a michya in it, or because it has 2 hairs in it. So this is definitely tamei. But the question is this the same, or is it something different? Says the Mishnah, it's a machloket. Rabbi Akiva mitamei. Rabbi Akiva says it's tamei, meaning mitamei, like it's tamei from what it was. The yeshkan nega v'siman tumaimo. V'chachamim omim, chachamim say teira'eh betchila. You have to reevaluate. Betchila means you have to evaluate an initial evaluation of this new reality. Meaning it's not a new one. It's not tamei, i.e. an extension of what was before, but rather it's something new. So now the Bartanura says, well, what's the difference in the end? Even Chachamim, they know when you look at it originally, you're going to reevaluate. Nami, Yitma'enu HaKohen Miyad. The Kohen's going to say, whoa, that is Tameh. The Michya v'se'ar lavan mitamim batchila. There's a Michya, you have a gris, Baharik gris with a Michya in it. The Kohen's going to go, oh, you are gone, Tameh. Okay, Mikol Makom, nonetheless, Nafka Mina. There's a difference, there's a Nafka Mina, there's a distinction. The Rabbanan bay atuya korban akol chad v'chad. According to the Rabbanan, teirah betchila, it's a new bayeret. You have a korban on the old one and a korban on the new one. Uli Rabbi Akiva kenega rishon chashuv. Akiva says no, it's still the same thing. V'chimitase mehai maitzi chad mechad chad korban. When you becomes tamei from this one, you bring 1 korban. Okay, so the Rabbi Akiva says no, it's tamei. Because it's the expansion of the original one, so you only bring 1 korban. Chacham says, no, the first one was tamei and expanded, and you also have to bring another korban on the second one. 2 korbanot, so says the Bartanura. New case. Baheret kechatzi gris ve'in baklum. You have half a baheret, a half gris, and there's nothing. So that's not tamei. We all know that. There's no hair in it, no michya. Noda baheret kechatzi gris ubasa ara achat, and now it expands. The beheret, meaning you have an expansion of a beheret of a half a gris, okay? And now you have a gris, and it has, let me make sure I have, and it has 1 hair, arezo lahasgir. So then you have to put him in quarantine, because now you have 1 beheret with one hair. You have a whole beheret and 1 hair. So let's look at it, right? You had a beheret of a half a gris, and then it expanded to a beheret with another gris and 1 seyar. Let's move the seyar in. That's a beheret and a seyar. 1 hair is not enough. You have to have 2 hairs. So at least 2 white hairs. So therefore, that goes into hesker. That goes into quarantine. Now look at the following case. Beheret kechatzi gris ubasa ara achat. So now let's reset. Let's go back to our drawing. We'll reset. You have a beheret of a half a gris, and it has 1 hair. And then the Mishnah says, Nolda ba beheret kechatzi gris ubasa ara achat. And then you have another beheret of a chatzi gris, and it has 1 hair. Harezo lahaskir. That's also lahaskir. Why? You'll say, hey, now I have a beheret of a whole gris, and then I shouldn't move my skin. I have a beheret of a whole gris with 2 se'arot. This is a very stubborn hair. It doesn't want to move. Here we go. So now I have a beheret with 2. I have 2 beharot, but it's still because remember we said the rule was you have to have the beheret first, and then the 2 hairs grow. Here you had a beheret with a hair, and then you grew another hair. So that doesn't work. Why is that lahaskir? Even though you have the grease of the beheret before the second hair, Kevangelo kadma et harishon, since the first one was there before you had the full grease, lo mehani, it doesn't help. Deba'inan shetakdim kagris ba'eret the shtei sarot. You have to have first the grease ba'eret, and then the two sarot, and then this guy doesn't really want to move, and then I have to lock that somehow, and then you have the two sarot. But if you have this first and then two sarot, that works. But here we didn't have it. We had half, and then we had a hole, and therefore it's one hole with one, and then you get another one. Sorry, that doesn't work. Even though it looks the same in the end, it doesn't work. Last thing, b'heret kechatzi grease. Ubashtei se'arot. If you have a b'heret of half a grease with two hairs. So let's take a look here. We'll reset the board. You have a b'heret of a half a grease, and it has two hairs in it. Oh, that guy really is annoying. I wonder if I wouldn't have to lock it. I'm in Microsoft Word. We're not using a sophisticated program. You have a b'heret of a half a grease, and it's got two hairs in it. Okay, so we know that's not metame. It's not big enough. And then nolda b'heret kechatzi grease ubasa ara achat, and it expands another half a grease, and that has another one hair. Harezo lahasker. That's also lahasker. So it expands, and that guy also gets. And now the whole thing has three hairs in it. But even though it has three hairs, nonetheless, you have to have a hole and then two hairs. Meaning, if two more hairs came, then it would be tameh. But since only one hair came, and it was before that, it was like this. Since only one hair came, and then you expand, then you added the hair. Therefore, lahasgir, that it goes into quarantine, and until you have the bartunura aji agdima gris shalem the shtei sarot. When you have a whole gris, and then you add two more sarot, then you are tameh. We'll stop here. Dedicate our learning to memory of my father, Rav Simcha ben Yitzchak Kalman. Make it a great day.